Hi everyone. I'm going to put a handle on this mug as I did with this mug. What I've done is I've taken, I don't know, a small amount of clay, a guesstimate to how much over the years I've learned. I need this much, I need that much clay, and I roll it out on the table and I get a carrot shape. And I gently tap it into form. I want to round out the tip that's going to make contact. I'll explain that in just a second. I'm going to score this area, not all the way to the edge, just at the tip of the rounded area that's going to be joined to the mug. I've already scored this end, and you have different options here. You can use slip, which is the liquid clay comes from the same clay body. You can use what's called magic water, or you can just use a little bit of water. I like to put the water only on the handle lug or the carrot, and now I'm going to firmly attach. If you can see this, I've always got one hand underneath the joint so that when I make the movement to attach the handle to the body, I simply don't crush the body. Now, if you look closely, you can see that I've made contact with the inside, the round part of the lug has made good contact. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to force the clay down with my thumb and my fingertips and just gently push that clay into the body of the pot. Because I made a round tip, that round tip made contact first, and as I gently push the rest of the area around that lug into the body of the pot, I haven't trapped any air. Now that I've got a good attachment, I'm secure in that attachment, it's not going anywhere. That little trick, because a lot of times you see people cut the lug so that it is cut on an angle. I've done it myself over the years. You try to anticipate or gauge the angle that you're going to create. Just create that rounded tip. Score it, make the attachment, push it into place, and it's a custom fit joint. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this lug and I'm going to dip it into the bucket of water, but not as far as the joint, because I don't want to weaken that joint. That joint's good. It's not going anywhere. I have a couple of options here. I could finish it off and smooth it and make it look as though it was born from that pot, but I like for some handles to look as though they've been attached. As with this mug, I did some carving. Later I'll refine that a little bit with a sponge and a brush, but for the most part, that's the joint I want for that handle. Okay, so back to this handle. Dip it in. I like to keep one hand dry. That's what the towel's for. You'll see in a minute I'll need that towel. And one hand wet. Now I'm going to stretch this handle about a third longer than it is. I don't want to weaken the joint, so I don't want to get too thin, too high, too close to the body of the pot. I'm going to elongate the handle by using two hand positions. Flat, which spreads the clay wide on the handle, and then round, which counters that by pinching on the outside. And that again, that downward movement, you'll see that I'll stretch the clay with a flat movement and then a round movement. It may be hard to see, but I'm going to be round. Okay, making contact on the outside. Change hand position, I'll explain that in a second. And now I'm going to pinch again, but this time more flat. You can also pinch with your index finger and your middle finger. Now, what I was going to describe is that if you're one hand dominant, right-handed, I'm going to exaggerate this, you'll have a tendency to make the handle curve. To counter that, you have to change the position of the mug or the handle so that you're pulling from an opposite direction. This handle's almost done. I'm going to make sure that the arch is going to get a nice encouraged form. It's going to lift before it comes down. There we go. And if you notice, when I'm pulling down, as I'm pulling down, I'm imagining finishing my pull all the way here. If I stop midway, even mentally, I'll pinch the handle along the way and then I'll ruin the handle. Obviously, I want a nice smooth transition between a thicker to a thinner, and in my case, I like to have a little extra clay at the bottom because I like that joint to look as though it's got a little bulk to it. See, it's got a slight bit of curve. And now, a couple of ways to attach this. You hold this in your hand, you can simply let it droop and make the attachment. It's not bad. But in the past couple of years, what I've been doing is I've been doing the handles upside down. And I think it encourages a better arch for the handles that I make. So that's why I do things absent-mindedly or so much in my rhythm. I've dried this hand so that when I grab this mug, simply it doesn't fall out of my hand. Now this hand's been dry all along, and this joint is going to work because, now that's too far out. That looks like somebody's elbow sticking out. This joint will attach itself very easily because the handle is wet. I don't even have to do that with the needle tool, but that's how you would separate a handle that you're unhappy with. You just simply wet the needle tool and slide it underneath the joint, and it'll come right off. Let's do that again. Now we know where it's too much, it's too long. Make sure it's lined up well. Pinch off the extra clay. Not bad, not bad. Now, here's another little trick. I thought I removed enough or pressed into the body of the handle enough so that I didn't have to do this next stage, but not a big deal. I've got a little bit too much weight, visual weight, on the underside of the arch. So with a wet needle tool, I'll just go underneath there and remove some of that clay. It looks awkward now, but in a moment, I'll simply run my finger along that clay, and once it gets glazed, it really won't be noticeable at all that it was trimmed. Okay, now, if we like, we can encourage a couple of different forms. I liked it the first way. You don't have to overwork it. When it gets a little bit firmer, you can go at it again. So here you are, a handle attachment from a lug. I want to change that. There we go. That's a little softer. Somebody might like that. Take it home. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great night. Bye.